Sunday or not? It's an interesting question, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Would he be really, really selfish to take that opportunity away from Riley Leonard? Or would it be entirely appropriate for a guy who pulled himself up off the couch, came in, competed right out the gate for the Colts, tried to do everything he could to give this team a chance to win and go to the playoffs? Would it be right and just for him to say, you know what, I'd like to do this one more time? And have the Colts say, yep, we'd like you to do it one more time. Is it right for Steichen to make the ask? Is it right for Philip Rivers to answer? That's an interesting question. And we're going to talk about it because there are a bunch of different ways to look at it. We're going to talk about that. We will talk a little bit about the injury situation with the Indianapolis Colts. Is Sauce Gardner going to play? It would seem unlikely. I don't know why you would do that. They say they're going to look at it. I don't know what in the world. Shane Steichen always keeps his cards very close to the vest and doesn't let people know what he's going to do and what he. So we're going to talk about that. Sorry if I lost you for a second. I had a phone call. Okay. Anyway, the question becomes who should play? Who is it wise to play? The question was asked about Anthony Richardson. Should he dress? That's a question. Should he be off IR and allowed to play if he wants to play? Shane Steichen said they're going to look at that. I don't believe that. This decision's already been made. And so he told us there are going to be some decisions that are made tomorrow, and he's going to share the answers on Wednesday. That's fine and good, but he knows damn well that Anthony Richardson is not going to dress. Why would you dress a third quarterback? If you've got Philip Rivers, unless Philip's just going to get on a plane and go home, and in that case, you got to find another quarterback, and one was signed to the practice squad today, which makes you feel like it's unlikely that Anthony Richardson has any chance to play whatsoever. Because look, if the guy can't see, if his peripheral vision is somehow affected by that injury on an ongoing basis, why in the world would you play him? It would be potentially catastrophically irresponsible to play him, for God's sake. Philip Rivers playing. I've mentioned we're going to talk about that, and we are. That's an interesting decision from a Steichen perspective and from a Philip Rivers perspective. We're going to talk about Andy Reid. He's going to be back, he expects, as the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. You wouldn't think after 1 year, when Mahomes gets hurt, gets dinged up a little bit, well, tore his knee up. He had to have reconstructive surgery on the knee. It's a little more than being tore up a little bit, I guess, or dinged up. You know, Andy Reid's a really good coach. He's been as good a coach over the last 8-10 years as maybe anybody in the history of the NFL. So I don't think that the Hunt family, they're going to say, you know what, maybe we've had the big guy too long. What a question to ask the guy. I wish I had the temerity to ask that kind of question. Kevin Bowen asked a similar question to Shane Steichen, whether Carly or Zay Gordon had spoken to him or not about returning as the Colts head coach. That's a little bit more understandable. Shane Steichen has won either 8 or 9 games in each of his 3 seasons. Should he be back? Reasonable people can disagree about that and put forth an argument that makes some sense on either side. There is no argument against doing that with Andy Reid. I don't care if he's 67, 77, or 107. He is less than a year removed from being thought of by many people in NFL circles to be the absolute best coach in the NFL, with a very, very gifted quarterback and tight end tandem. We're going to talk a little bit about Marcus Freeman. He's going to be back as the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They didn't extend him, but they did present him with an enhanced contract, which means no additional years, but plenty of additional cash, which, hey, who says no to more cash? Am I right or am I right? Pacers in Houston tonight. Has any team gone from like the being completely obscure and irrelevant to being very relevant and very popular for a brief window of time, going to the NBA Finals Game 7, and then receding to complete obscurity again, like the Indiana Pacers had. It's like Tiffany or Debbie Gibson, to put it in like late 80s terminology, right? They had hits. Their star went whoop, and their star went whoop. Erin Moran, who was on Happy Days for a while, she went from being, we didn't know who she was, to being Joni Cunningham, to then living in a trailer park in southern Indiana before she sadly passed away. I'm not saying that the Pacers are and Joni loves Chachi. We remember that. What a spinoff. Gary Marshall, that guy. Anyway, very few child stars have done this like Erin Moran. Very few NBA franchises have done that like the Indiana Pacers, and nobody does this. This is Inside Indiana Sports Now for Monday, December 29th, 2025, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry, Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best dentist in the world. He's been my dentist for the last 33 years. I don't mean the office, I mean the man. I've seen him every time I've walked into that office, and he's the best dentist going. You want him to be your dentist? Pick up the phone, call 317-849-2933. Say, hello, Julie. I want to be a new patient. And she's going to hook you up because you know me. They don't have appointments, but if you got a hole in your mouth and you say you know me, that's going to open doors. Open your mouth, open doors. That's the way it works in dentistry. Make sure and become a member. Becoming a member is just awesome. It's a great way to support the channel. Become a subscriber. As a subscriber, you have a chance to win prizes. We're going to give away a prize at the end of this show. All right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to give away a Jeff Saturday jersey. I'm telling you, it's a beauty, too. And you need to, in order to be eligible for prizes, you need to be a subscriber. And then you've got to use the phrase that pays as your entry to win a prize. And the phrase that pays this afternoon is Go IU. In fact, that will be the phrase that pays all week long. I cannot wait to go down to Bloomington to watch a Rose Bowl in just 3 days. Right now, in 3 days, Indiana's going to be playing in the Rose Bowl for the first time in 58 years, and I can't wait. Smash that like button. If you want to make a donation, no big whoop, but please include a comment or a question that elevates the level of discourse on the channel. All right, let's talk about sports. Let's talk about Phil. Is Philip Rivers going to play this weekend? Here's the thing about Philip Rivers playing this Sunday for the Colts against the Texans in Houston. If he plays, he is putting himself in the line of fire for injury. He's been injured before several times and played with a torn ACL, for God's sake. Is he going to want to put himself in the line of fire for that kind of thing? And then the rehab that results as part of that eventuality as an NFL player. Would it be irresponsible to him and his family playing? Would he be more generous to allow Riley Leonard to take snaps for the Colts this week as their number one quarterback? Would it be responsible for the Indianapolis Colts to activate and elevate Anthony Richardson, despite the fact that what we have been told for a couple of weeks, he's got vision problems? You want to put that guy back there? Probably not, right? I think it'd be just stupid. I don't know why Shane Steichen just won't say no, he's not going to play. Like, are the Texans going to expend any bandwidth whatsoever preparing for Anthony Richardson? Is that what's going to happen? What would be the point of him getting in and playing? Under the best of circumstances, he hadn't been able to keep himself healthy. This is not the best of circumstances, for God's sake. Riley Leonard, you've got Danielle Hunter, you've got Will Anderson. Those guys, they're looking to hit people hard. Does Phil want to put himself back there? Would Phil feel like that he's letting his team down? That he's saying, no, these games are no longer important to me. You guys are no longer important to me. So I'm wheels up and I'm going back to South Alabama. I think that would it be more selfish to play or not play? It's a great poser. I think you could have one guy at a podium over here and another guy at a podium over here, and they could make a case on the opposite side. This guy saying Phil should play, and this guy saying Phil should not play. This guy's saying it's a selfless act. This guy's saying it's a selfish act. Should he play? What do you think? I'm interested in what you think. Rivers is our best chance to win, so he should play. This is still a division rival, for crying out loud. I tend to agree with you, Fireman Jeff. I think that's the answer that I would espouse. Donald says the Richardson project was the loose thread that led to the unraveling of this franchise. Go away, bad dream. Well, that's just a tad harsh, but a well-phrased and executed argument, I think. No question about that. Sauce Gardner, they say he may play. Bortolini may play. I don't think Sauce is going to play. I don't think Bortolini's going to play. If he can get through concussion protocol, maybe. Philip, Riley, no word on Anthony returning, which is just kind of silly. Like I said, DeForest Buckner surgery likely later this week. So there you go. That's kind of our Indianapolis Colts update. Alan FM7 says Steichen needs to be a head coach and give Leonard a chance to be evaluated properly, not a buddy to Rivers by giving him one more game with a meaningless outcome. No outcome is meaningless, so I would say that. Rivers said that yesterday, and I thought he was right. In the locker room after the game, or not in the locker room, but at the podium, he said that, an outcome when you played as a 10-year-old wasn't meaningless. It's not meaningless now as he's 44. I agree with that. I don't think any outcome is meaningless. I don't think that you need to play Riley Leonard in a game to evaluate him properly. I think a good head coach knows when a guy's ready and knows when a guy's not ready. And if Shane Steichen believes that Leonard's not ready, shouldn't play him. Because it's dangerous out there for him, for God's sake. And what you were doing, if you play a guy who's not ready, you got the offensive line out there. You got Jonathan Taylor out there. You got Pittman, Pierce, Downs, Warren out there, Doolin. And they're given what they got for a quarterback who they know isn't ready to play. So why complicate things? Keep it simple, stupid, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. What's the main thing? If the main thing isn't winning, don't get on the plane. Don't do that. If you're getting on the plane, you play the guy who gives you the best chance to win. This isn't the preseason, for God's sake. So Philip Rivers, if he gives you the best chance to win, play the man. Maybe over the last 3 weeks, Riley Leonard has figured some things out while he's been in the quarterback room with Philip Rivers. Maybe with Philip Rivers on the sideline helping, maybe he can guide Riley Leonard through a little bit of a tutorial and put Riley in a position where he can succeed. And it does give the Colts a chance to win. If it doesn't give the Colts a chance to win, don't do it. I don't believe in anything but winning. I don't care if you're 2-14. Week 18, get out there and play winning football. And if that's not your focus, you got a problem and you shouldn't be in the league. Andy Reid plans to be back with the Chiefs as their head coach. He's 67 years old. He's got 307 regular season wins. He is only 18 behind the Papa Bear, George Halas. How many would George Halas have if about every 10 years George Halas said, I've had enough for a little bit? And he wouldn't coach for a year, 2 years. That happened, I think, 4 times. So what are you talking about there? Might be talking about 80 additional wins. People have got to take that into account as they grade George Halas among the all-time greats. Like, you've got Belichick, you've got Shula. All right. Plus, Halas, they weren't playing 16 games a year. When Shula coached, they weren't playing 16 games a year until about the second half of his tenure with the Miami Dolphins. Marcus Freeman, he's coming back. He's signed an enhanced contract to coach at Notre Dame. Going to pay him a whole bunch of money to do exactly that. The NFL teams that kick the tires on Freeman, they're being told to pound salt. He's staying at Notre Dame at least for one more year. How much money is too much? I mean, I look at the money for Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti is worth every penny to me. Like that's easily worth it to the school. I don't think that Marcus Freeman is worth that kind of jack to the school. I still think that people would apply to attend Notre Dame without Marcus Freeman being the football coach. Without Curt Cignetti, where are the application rates? Because Cignetti is like leading that football team into prominence and keeping Indiana kind of front and center in the minds of a lot of people who are choosing where to go to college. How much money is Indiana getting based upon Curt Cignetti's ability to field a team that wins at this level? It's extreme. So he's worth it. But Marcus Freeman, I would question that. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a good coach. Pacers in Houston tonight, and it's kind of like Tiffany or Debbie Gibson. The Pacers have gone from nobody giving a damn about the Pacers to everybody caring about the Pacers for a brief sunny moment in June, and then boom, right back down. They go for their 7th win tonight in Houston. What are they going to do? Are they going to get the win against, what's Houston, 19-10, something like that? Pacers 6-26, about to be 6-27. I don't know what the line is, but I'd take the Rockets and give the points. That's what I would do. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about this Colts team and how decisions should be made as to how close they are to being a relevant team in the AFC South. Because it's not so cut and dried. I know 8-9, 9-8, last 3 years, 8-9 or 9-8. A chance 2 years ago at the end of the 2023 season, if only Minshew had hit the back, Goodson, with a pass he could have handled, right? I'm tending to blame Gardner Minshew more for that. The more times I watch it, the more times I think that was just a crappy throw. Tell you the truth. They win the AFC South if that pass is completed, almost certainly. They did not get it done. And they always talk about one play. It's not one play. It's a bunch of plays. You weren't one play away. You were a bunch of plays away. You had to play here, you had to play there. All these plays you didn't make. Some plays you did make. Against the Seahawks, were you one play away? Yeah, but you also kept them out of the end zone every single drive. So that's important to know. So it wasn't just one play. The Colts executed often during that game. Gave up 15 points. That last drive, that 18-yard gain, lights out, baby. That's the way it goes. The Colts, you'll hear from Bernard Ryman tomorrow morning. You'll hear from Leatu Latu tomorrow morning as well. What are they going to have to say? I can tell you this. They're going to say it without a lot of energy and with a lot of disappointment in their voices. Patrick says, fire Ballard. Colts have been many plays away for years under Ballard, and they have. Like, how many plays are they away from winning 12? I've told this story before, but I'm standing outside an Indiana University football luncheon, a kickoff luncheon at the Idle Jorg Museum. I think it was either there or at the NCAA Hall of Champions, one or the other. Anyway, Bill Lynch is out there, and I'm standing with the great Eric Wannenberg, general sales manager down at MS Communications. We're going to lunch together. And Bill Lynch is kind of shaking hands, and there we are. So he's talking to us because we're roughly the same age, and he might be a little older than us, but he's talking a little bit, and he said, we were 9 plays away from being undefeated last year. You can make that case. They were 3-9 the year before, and he walked away and said, there goes a dead man walking. He is going to get fired at the end of the season, because when coaches get that silly in their comments, their own self-evaluation of themselves and their team, it's over. Like, if he really thought that they were 9 plays away, That's a problem that cannot be corrected with simple counseling. That's a fireable offense, believing that. And it was for Billings. Tomorrow morning, though, we're going to talk about not which direction this thing needs to head yet, but some ways in which we need to look at this season in order to make a sober, go figure, and reasonable decision about the disposition of Chris Ballard and everybody on that staff on down from him. How do you do it? How do you look at this team? We'll talk about that tomorrow.